along with 5 other of these ladies. I think most of us are on. We have been talking for the last maybe 2 months about starting this group here in Rutherford County. So shout out to everybody first: Patty James, Missy Lay, Alicia Shachura, Rhonda Thomas, and Nikki Sasser. So we've all been talking about the possibility of starting up here. A handful of us have been involved with other chapters. There's a chapter up in Nashville. Emily Schneller is here with us from the Nashville chapter. She was the longtime president. She's since handed off that duty, but still does a lot with membership in the state. So we're going to hear from her in just a minute. She's going to talk about kind of the history of the organization and what things are happening. There's some excitement coming for next year, hopefully, in Nashville. Then I will spend a little bit of time just running over the concept of how this group works, what our plans are for getting started here in Rutherford, and then we will have a little bit of time for Q&A if there are any questions that we don't answer during our chat. So Emily, if you want to unmute yourself and just get us started telling us a little bit about the history of the organization and kind of what's happened in Nashville since you started the group.
Well, let me go way back. So the 100 Who Care movement and the Giving Circle movement really started in 2006 in Jackson, Michigan, with a lady named Karen Dunnigan. Some of y'all look really young, but that was just before the recession hit Nashville. It hit Michigan first, and they had low-income mothers with babies that were sleeping in laundry baskets and dresser drawers and whatever they could find to keep their children in a safe place. And Karen decided that that was just totally unacceptable and called upon her friends and business associates. They needed to raise $10,000 to purchase over, I think it was 150 baby beds. So in an hour's time with these people, they raised $12,000 to purchase baby beds. And that's really how this whole movement was birthed, is because of baby beds. And it started then, and then her cousin decided it was a good idea, so they started a chapter in Chicago and then Dayton, Ohio. And it really grew by word of mouth. And I heard about it from a friend in South Florida who had started some chapters, and we had our first meeting in Nashville in August of 2013. We started with about 25 women and have grown to over 100 in the years that we've been having our quarterly meetings. And the beauty of it is that it's really simple. It's an hour per quarter and $100. And I know you'll talk more about that, Katie, so I'll let y'all take care of that.
Yeah,
but
sure.
and each chapter is a little bit different. And when we started, there were about 100 chapters across North America. Now there's over 650 chapters globally. And it really is an amazing thing to think about the impact that we make. In our communities, and I mean, y'all are, even it's Rutherford County, but Nashville, the greater Nashville area, there's so many nonprofits and there's so many cool things that people do. And a lot of the smaller nonprofits operate on an annual budget of around $40,000 to $50,000. So when you can go into an organization and potentially give them $10,000, that's impactful. It makes a huge difference on what they can do in the community. And it's not, I don't know how many of you are familiar with nonprofits. I've learned a lot in the last 6.5 years that they operate mostly on grants. Well, there's a lot of strings attached with grant funding and a lot of paperwork and files and everything you have to do. So when we walk into some place and we give them $10,000 with really no strings attached, it may fix a sink, it may buy snacks for kids, it may fix a leaky roof, and they say it's like manna from heaven. So to really be a part of this and watch it grow has been amazing. So now there's a Williamson County chapter, a Spring Hill chapter, there's the Nashville chapter, Rutherford County, and then Montgomery County has a steering group to hopefully start a chapter there as well. So we're super excited. Part of the reason I handed off leadership of the Nashville chapter is that I'm part of what is called the Alliance. And 100 Who Care is so much bigger than any one chapter. There's men who care, there's women who care, there's teens who care, kids who care, people who care, with these 650 chapters. And every 2 years, we have a leadership conference. In 2021, the leadership conference will be hosted here in Nashville. And I'm in charge of that, so I really didn't feel like I could run a local chapter and plan a conference. So I heard y'all talk about party planners. I'm not, so anybody that has experience and wants to help, y'all just let me know. But we really want to make it a Tennessee thing. There's 11 chapters across the state now, and we really want everybody to be involved. It's not one person's thing, but when you get involved in something like this and you learn the impact you make when we all work together, it's really just amazing. So it's, whether it's $10,000 a quarter or, $50,000 a year, as you grow and you see what you can do with all these other chapters, it's millions of dollars that individuals like us give to local nonprofits. And it's just, I love it, obviously. So I hope you all have as much fun with it as I do.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Thank you. And thank you for the legacy that you've left. I know the Nashville chapter, I've been a member there for a couple of years. I think Rhonda has as well. And it's just been an incredible, incredible organization. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you.
So I will, yes. So I'll spend a little bit of time. You may have read some of these details on our social media, on some of those posts, or on our website. Our website, by the way, is rcwomenwhocare.com. Missy set up that landing page for us, so we've got a place where all of our forums are linked, all of our social. So as Emily shared, the concept is really simple, and it's intentionally that way. All of our steering committee, all of you are involved all over the community. We do quite a bit, just through our jobs, through other organizations that we belong to, and so this isn't designed as a commitment to add something else to your plate. It's really a touch point on a quarterly basis. So we'll schedule a meeting, and we hope to have our meetings for the year lined up all at once, so that you can go ahead and get those dates on your calendar. You show up to that event. We have a little bit of time for networking, and then 3 charities are presented. So the way that those charities are chosen, any member of the organization, so anyone who signs up to be one of us and commits to giving $100 every quarter for at least a 1-year period, is also eligible to nominate nonprofits. So the only criteria for a nonprofit is that they have their 501c3, that everything is in good standing with Giving Matters, with the Community Foundation, and that the work that they're doing is primarily happening in Rutherford County. So that's pretty simple. And as Emily shared, there aren't a whole lot of strings attached intentionally. I work in nonprofit development, and I write a lot of those grants, a lot of those follow-up reports. And so this is kind of a nice reprieve for those nonprofits to just receive a gift. So just before each quarterly meeting, our steering committee will draw 3 eligible nonprofits from those that have been nominated, and we'll notify the nominating member that they will have a responsibility to present that charity at the next meeting. At the meeting, those 3 nominators will have 5 minutes apiece to present information about that charity, about their history, any upcoming projects, what the need is, what real impact this $10,000, hopefully, if we're able to gather 100 members, could have. After that 15-minute period, we do a blind vote. So very simple, just ballots that go around the room. Each of us chooses which of the 3 nonprofits we want to support for the quarter. We tally the votes right on the spot and name the winner. And then before you leave that night, you write a check for $100 directly to the charity. The charity agrees. There are some stipulations around marketing going forward, so this isn't going to be something where you're going to end up on a whole lot of mailing lists. But the reason that it's written directly to the charity and not to kind of a collective fund is said that is tax deductible for you as an individual. So you'll receive receipt that you've made that donation to the charity. We typically, with the Nashville group, we've tried to keep this a secret after the winner is selected. So we organize a check presentation where we, after we've gathered all of those donations, including those from members who weren't there that night, who weren't able to be present. So once we gather all this up, we go and make a check presentation. And then we like to stay in touch with the charities as well. And so sometimes at a future meeting, we might invite one of those past recipients in to tell us a little bit about what impact that donation that we've made has had on their organization. So it's as simple as that. There are no other obligations beyond that $100 a quarter for you, except to help us continue to spread the word and bring more members in. Obviously, the more members we have, the more impact we're making. And it's a great opportunity. I think one of the side benefits that I've discovered, even being on the inside of the nonprofit community, I've heard about some organizations that I had no idea were in operation in our community and we're doing that kind of work. So that's been really incredible. So we really appreciated that. I will tell you now that we are planning tentatively for a September quarterly meeting, so our first quarterly meeting. In August, we will make a call on whether or not we'll have an in-person meeting at all, or whether we'll handle this via Zoom. There's some precedent already for handling these meetings over Zoom and doing it well. So if we are still under such restriction, then we will. Otherwise, we'll try to do both. We'll try to have an in-person meetup and also host a live portion over the web for those who are not able to attend due to the virus. So Rhonda Thomas has been working on some locations for us because we hope that this will be another opportunity as well to get to know maybe a new space in the community for a little bit of networking as well. So that announcement will come in August. And beyond that, next steps for all of you are to continue to help us spread the word and to go ahead and sign up for membership if you're in, and to start nominating some charities. We've had a couple of nominations roll in already, and a dozen or so people who've already signed up for membership. So those links, like I mentioned, are on our website. It's rcwomenwhocare.com. So that is it on my list. If anyone wants to unmute yourself, if you have other questions, you want to jump in and speak with us, or you are welcome to type in the group chat as well. And we can...
I have a question.
Yeah, absolutely.
Of course it's me. So this group itself is not a 501c3?
That's correct. Okay. That's correct. It's not. So it's not.
People that are together that we don't have bylaws and that stuff. Okay. That's
exactly right. And that's, there are some of the chapters who've gone through that process, and for at least for now, for simplicity's sake, for the fact that we don't have any overhead, that there's not any, there aren't any membership dues for our group. That's the decision that we've made. But if this takes off into a life of its own in the future, we're certainly open to it.
Emily, could you give the group an idea of some of the organizations Nashville's given to in the past, just to kind of give everyone a flavor?
I can. And we didn't limit it to Davidson County initially because it was Middle Tennessee. And even though we're really Nashville now, Nashville owns, we claim like 14 counties. So, and it's still your members vote, but we've given to Operation Homefront, Doors of Hope, Mending Hearts, Saddle Up, Mission 615. Gosh, I have to think about this. We just did Safe Paws, which is it helps homeless that have pets, so because they can't take their pets into shelters. That was last quarter. We've given to some of the, usually it's smaller nonprofits. We have given to some larger ones where we knew the money could stay local, like March of Dimes. That was many years ago. I'm trying to think of others. Y'all can probably think of some too. USO. We have a lot of military families in our Nashville group, so those seem to come up. But it's really cool. And some of those nonprofits, like Katie, you were mentioning that you've not heard of, a lot of these nonprofits find out they do some same things, and we've seen some that have been able to learn to work together on some projects because their missions are aligned, and that's just it's an amazing thing to learn about those nonprofits.
Absolutely.
Can you? And I apologize if you said this. My boss emailed me in the middle of you talking about it. But what's the cadence or the frequency that it can be awarded to organizations? Like if somebody's the first recipient and there's only 30 members at that point, but then 12 months later there's 100, how does that kind of play into their opportunity?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's kind of up for grabs right now. We haven't made a call on frequency, but I think it probably makes sense if we start to have more and more nominations that we not select an organization twice until we've worked our way through that list. That was something that we discussed at one of our initial planning meetings. But yeah, like I said, there's just a handful who've been nominated so far. And so I know there are, I want to say the last time I heard a count, there were over 60 nonprofits that are operating in Rutherford County, like in good standing with the Community Foundation. And so certainly have opportunity, but yes, we're not opposed to giving to the same place more than once.
Maybe as a follow-up question to that, Katie, if you can just talk about, I know, Emily, you kind of ran down the list of the nonprofits that have been awarded things in the past, but is there a stipulation on the size of a nonprofit that can receive it?
Katie, you want me to give any parameters?
Sure, tell us what you've done.
We don't really have that stipulation. What we do have is that they have to have been in existence for at least a year. We have some stipulations on like what part goes for administrative fees, so that we know they use most of their funds for programming and to support others, not just pay staff. So we've had some requirements like that, but it's never really been based on size of the organization. And we've had a few caveats to that. There was, I don't know if you remember, there was Mary's Magical Place.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a totally different thing, but again, it was a membership voted on that, and that's what they wanted to do. So we were like, okay.
That was my first meeting, if I'm remembering. Yeah. It's a special place. That was a playground with accessible equipment for parents and for children who had physical disabilities, if I'm remembering right. Yeah.
Right, like a wheelchair, you can wheel it right into the swing, and it was great for parents who had prosthetic legs and stuff, because they could walk on a special surface. So it was a cool project. Does that help a little bit, Nikki?
Yes, it does. Great, thank you.
So that brings me, I have a follow-up question on that. So has this group figured out those parameters, or would that sort of be in our presentation? And the reason I ask that, because Katie, you know this to be true, there's grants out there left and right for programming, but if you don't have the staff to pay the staff so they can do the programming, okay. So there's sometimes that the admin needs a little help. But I know we've all been bit in the media by the CEO makes too much money or whatever that situation is. But is that kind of a vote and see kind of thing for this particular group, you think? Or
probably so. Yeah, probably so for simplicity's sake. But I'll say that if we use that parameter of any organization that's been in existence for a year or so, those are mostly going to be weeded out. Those brand new startups who are just trying to pay one staffer are mostly going to be weeded out. But I know that, yes, I'm right there with you. No people, no programs, as we say in the biz. That yes, that I have seen incredible impact. I'm thinking about other, like the State Farm, the $25,000 that they give away for community impact, that funding the entirety of a part-time staffer's salary. And I think that that's a wonderful thing when you can bring someone on to kind of create a new program.
Cool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm ready. I'm ready to give money. Let's do it.
Yeah, right. I know.
I think we'll maintain too, as Katie said, those in good standing with the community foundation. I think that's important too, that they're on the level and on the up and up.
Yes.
Yeah, and just not a question, but from a giver's perspective, I've been involved with Emily since 2013 in Nashville. And, you know, as a busy person, I don't always take time to do the research on the giving that I should. And this gives you a forum to go, and you can present a charity that you have a passion about, but it also gives you more information about the organization before you write that $100 check than the 10 pieces of junk mail that people get every day. And it's a great opportunity then to get to know another group of women, and to be able to network and learn, and then to hear about the impact that the money has. When those representatives from those organizations come back and talk to the group, you know, there's like tissue at every spot, because what we're able to do is so impactful, even if when we start out versus when we're mature and we can give more money, it is impactful to those organizations.
Absolutely. That's well said.
So whose responsibility then, because not everybody knows what foundation group or community foundation is, or Giving Matters or any of that. I mean, it's regular lingo for us nonprofit people, but so is there some help for those that want to suggest somebody, but did they do that research? Did they look up the profile on those sites?
Yes. So the nomination form, it has, I want to say 5 or 6 questions. It's fairly simple, but one of them is to just pull the tax ID number for the organization, and pointing people to the Giving Matters site with that link of here's where you can find this information if you don't have all of it. But our organization, before we add someone from that nomination list to our approved list, our team will go back in and make sure that everyone is vetted properly. Yes, absolutely. Very good. Any other questions?
I'm with Susan. I'm ready to give some money.
Yeah, let's do it, right? So I'll just remind folks once more, RC Women Who Care is where you can find those forms for your membership application and for nominating nonprofits. So we will be in touch with all of you again soon when we have a date on the calendar for a September meeting. And we appreciate all of you. Thank you, Emily, for joining us, and thank all of you for.
Y'all are going to do great.
Yes, we appreciate it. Have a great night. Thank you.
Bye-bye.